Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Defining Wellness Confab. I'm Denise O'Malley, and I'm the founder of You Define Wellness, as well as your host for this event. And if you've been following along, you know I'm introducing you to more than 4 dozen health and wellness experts that are part of the You Define Wellness Network that if you're on your own path searching for people to help you out, man, come to our YouTube library. Just search for You Divine Wellness in the search bar and you will find all kinds of practitioners. The reason why we're here today is for me to introduce you to one that I have just recently gotten to know. And Cindy Ridley with Recalibrating Emotions. And Cindy, thank you so much for being a part of this today.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm excited about being here. And I just want to also give a big shout out to you for all the great work you're doing for all of us. Yes.
Thank you.
You are amazing. And I'm just so excited for everything that's coming your way.
Oh, thank you so much. I have a hard time accepting those type of compliments simply because I feel so divinely guided in this whole thing. And
yes.
so, but thank you very much for that.
I know. That's the best part is everything. When you're in the right vibration and right energy, things just keep coming to you. So that's what's beautiful.
They do.
So much.
This isn't about me, my dear. This is about you. So tell everyone what it is that you do.
Okay, so I am an energy healer, and the modality I use is called emotion code. And it's Dr. Bradley Nelson wrote a book about the emotion code. And here is the first original copy right here. Okay. And you can see back there where my thumb is, right there. That's the newer version. So he's got more stories in there. And it was forwarded by Tony Robbins. He, Dr. Bradley Nelson, went out and seen him because he flew Dr. Bradley Nelson and his wife out because he wanted to talk to him about emotion code. So he forwarded the book for us and stuff. So that was really exciting. Yes.
Okay, so what is emotion code?
Okay, emotion code, we get rid of trapped emotions. So what happens is when we are younger, and even sometimes in the womb, in our mama's belly, and even inherited from our parents and grandparents and stuff. We get these trapped emotions, and it's little balls of energy that gets trapped in parts of our body, like, for instance, anger, bitterness, guilt, hatred, and resentment can get trapped into the liver or gallbladder area. And there's like 60 trapped emotions that we have on our chart. And all I do is I muscle test your subconscious mind. And then I just pinpoint which trapped emotion you got. Because what happens when we get the trapped emotions, we don't know how to process that emotion because it was trauma. It's stuck into our bodies in different areas. So that's what I do. And then I just release it energetically with magnets.
So to hone in on this with the muscle testing, and just for the person viewing this, I've actually had emotion code. I've experienced it myself firsthand a couple of times. Cindy most recently, and I'm going to talk about that in just a couple minutes. I know I will.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to me because there's a chart that has been created. So it's not like you just have to fabricate this stuff from...
Oh, no. Here's the chart. And I have a copy of the chart right here. This is my little chart I use. I'm trying not to get that glare. But this is what I do. It's just I ask yes and no questions. That's it. I ask if there's any trapped emotion because I always ask permission from your subconscious mind.
And you're asking this of yourself, not the person you're doing emotion code with.
Right. I ask, and then I get a yes if I can really, if there is a trapped emotion. So I ask, is it in column A or column B? Then I get whatever one it is. Let's say it's column B. And then I ask, is it in an odd or even row? So then if I get an even odd number, sorry, because I got my finger on the odd, then I go to it's B and 1. So then I go to these 5 trapped emotions, which is effort, unreceived, heartache, insecurities, overjoy, vulnerability. And that is part of your heart and your small intestines, those emotions in there. So if you know, you can't read it or anything because it's, maybe you can, but right here in the rows, it tells you what parts of the body it can be in.
So I was at a dinner with a group of girlfriends of mine on Monday night of this last week, and I was explaining to them, or trying to tell them how your session with me went and what it was all about. And there were people in the room who had never heard of emotion code, and they're like, what is that? And they were kind of skeptical, and is that voodoo? And I had somebody else in the room who just, dropped her hands off, just, oh my gosh, isn't it fantastic?
Yeah.
It's such an amazing process because it really hones in to things that you sit back and go, okay, how did that just happen?
Yes, I know. It's so amazing. I'm always, every time I work on someone, I'm always in awe of what I do because it's like, wow. And then also because of my faith and I hear the Holy Spirit, I get messages and I share them with you.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm supposed to. I ask, can I share this message first? And then I get a yes or a no. And then if it's not, I can't share it with you. I don't even let you know I got it.
Yeah.
That would just not be right.
Right. And, you mentioned faith, and your faith is very, very strong. And in fact, one of the interviews I did with a mutual friend of ours earlier this morning, her practice is about her spirituality and her faith and how moves it forward. And she was even mentioning how she does emotion code. And so for those who are worried about, hey, is this voodoo? And, so many of these practitioners you will find are Christians, are Buddhist, or whatever it is, they're so strong in their own faith. And so it's a reassuring feeling. I'm getting all of that. So would you mind if I share what our session was like a little bit?
No, it's great. I'd love for you to share about it because it was great.
So I have recently received my 9th concussion, and way too many. Trust me, I'm not in the market for a 10th. And I was having a problem with a blockage right here, a pain, a pressure in my head. And Cindy and I worked together on it. And what was really interesting to me, because when you're doing that chart, you're also being able to identify, is this part of a certain age range?
Yes.
And to go back to. And what was really interesting for me is every time, and it's not just, one answer, it's not one C and, one B and you're done. I mean, she does this multiple times, and we had a lot of those that we were doing it. But I just sat back and let her do her thing. But what was really interesting to me is time and time again, she kept saying that this pressure was from about when I was age 8 or 9. And what I found to be very, very interesting is that I started fainting, no medical explanation for it, when I was 8 or 9 years old. And it went on for a few years. And then in my adulthood, I just keep getting concussions. So I don't know what this means. I just found it extremely intriguing that the work with Cindy was tying back to a period of time where there was a medical situation that was occurring for no explanation suddenly, and it had to do with my head. Well, I'm assuming the fainting had something to do with my head. I felt like it at the time, I can tell you that. So I just found some very interesting results. And what's really interesting is I don't have the pressure on my head.
Yes, that's the beautiful part. Yes.
Yeah.
And
so I don't know how it works. I just know it works.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But what I found was interesting with our session too was because there was a couple other things you told me that you was having issues with.
Yeah.
And I got the message, no, because also with me, I'm an empath, so I can feel your guys's pain and your issues. I don't feel it as intensively as you guys, but I feel it. And I felt the pressure right here. And usually wherever I feel the pressure, if you guys have pain, that's where I'm supposed to go. So that's why I think you wanted to work on something else, but it's like, no, we're going to go right here. Yes, because that was important.
Yes, and it was. So it's amazing. And then you integrated something else in, and I had never heard of this before, and it was the heart wall. And can you explain what the heart wall is?
Okay, yes, and and we'll just talk a little bit about it, because there's so much more, just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. The heart wall is what happens is that when you have trauma, and actually a lot of people build their heart walls starting when they're in the womb of their mama, so that's when they start, and because they're absorbing emotions from their mom and stuff, what's ever going on in the family's life and everything.
And they can't handle it, so they're building a wall,
yes,
a wall around their heart.
Yes. So what happens is because I got these anger, bitterness, and guilt, and hatred and resentment, and that one block is the liver or the gallbladder. So what happens is when you start building a heart wall, you take a little layer off of that area, and then you put it around your heart. So you're building you can have a small heart wall, a medium, or a large one. I had a huge one. I didn't have just one. I had a huge one. So because it just keeps getting layers and layers. And what it's made out of is these trapped emotions. And there's 5 things that tells me that you probably have a heart wall. Because like Dr. Bradley Nelson said that there's like 93% of us that has a heart wall. I honestly think it's a little higher, not just 93%. But these are the 5 things, and I'll just kind of go over and give a couple examples, and then, and if anybody wants to know more, I'd love to go more in depth, okay? But one of them is like low immune system or low energy. Mm-hmm. You might have a heart wall for that. Also, not knowing your purpose. Your life purpose. Everybody's looking for their life purpose. And if you don't know and you're indecisive and stuff, you probably have a heart wall. Also, but if you know your life purpose, but you're not thriving in it, you probably have a heart wall because, your brain, your conscious brain is saying, yes, I want to do this. And your subconscious says, no, I'm not going to do that. So there's a disconnect from your brain to your heart. So your heart's not, we're not going there. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then there's desensitized heart. It's like you see the person loving you, but you can't feel it. You don't feel it though. And if you know, a lot of people are that way, mm-hmm. Because they see it, but they just don't feel it. So that's another one. And also a couple of things that happens with that one, desensitized heart, is the people, they keep building heart walls, and they're in codependency relationships. Or if you've ever known people, men or women, doesn't matter, stay in an abusive relationship, and it's higher for women staying in an abusive relationship because they're so desensitized with their heart. They just think they deserve that too. So you tap into this for your clients, and then how do you work with them to minimize whatever wall they have going on around their heart? Is that when you bring in the emotion code and start working on those different? Yes. Mm-hmm. And all I ask is, I'll use your name, Denise. Denise, is there any trapped emotions I can release from Denise's heart wall? And if I get a yes, then I start releasing, because I always ask permission. Mm-hmm. From your subconscious mind. And how I do it is I just go, here, this is a yes and this is a no. So I just do it on my hands. you know, and that's how I muscle test your subconscious mind. Yeah. So some people just stay in bad relationships, or they get the PTSD, you know, from bad relationships. If they don't get out and get their heart wall taken care of, you know, then they can go to PTSD, depression, all these other things, you know. And so that's the third one. The fourth one is love communication. And I have this little illustration that I always tell everybody. It's like when you were talking to the person that you care for and you really like, and it looks, and this information, it looks like a big, beautiful butterfly. And but it has to go from your heart to theirs. So it's coming out of your heart wall, going through all of these rejections, bitterness, hopelessness, and everything. And the butterfly is getting distorted. By the time it reaches that person, it looks like this creature. And so the other person does not receive it. Mm. So that's when love communication, because a lot of times you met the person you're supposed to be with and everything is going great, and then something happens because you guys are shooting love blanks to each other and you're not communicating with that. And then the fifth one would be abundance and wealth. You know, that if you're not thriving and getting your abundance and the wealth and everything, then that's probably a have a heart wall too. Yeah.
Oh, we could go on and on and on for a long time.
I know, we
But,
can.
you know, that tone was saying we're getting towards the end of this. So I want to make sure that we get in, if there's anything you wanted to make sure that we talked about today that we haven't yet.
Yes. There's two, because there's two trapped emotions I just think are so critical to get rid of. And one is called creative insecurity. And that one is, and I find that a lot of people get this. This one is feeling unsafe or untrusting the self about a creation or development of anything. And this is the kicker, because I always thought creative insecurities, you know, being, making arts and crafts, you know, and creative painting and all of that. But the creation and development is for relationships, family, and then health and money and career. And so if you feel unsafe or untrusting that, and you cannot get these other things. So I always like to give people, you know, seeing if they have that trapped emotion and clearing it from them. And then the second one, which this just blows me away, is stubbornness. You know, and every person I've ever said stubbornness, everybody giggles like you are, mm-hmm. You know, because it's like, we all know what that is, stubbornness, being rebellion and unbendable and all of that. But people don't realize this part is unable or unwilling to forgive. And that's what people need to do. And I find most people need to forgive themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the two trapped emotions I think we should clear everybody on those.
So last question for you. How do people work with you?
What do you mean? How do people work with me?
Do they come to you? Do you work using a platform like this? How do you work with you?
Oh, okay. I use this platform right here because awesome. I have clients from Australia, Switzerland, Canada, and throughout the United States. Yeah, so I just use this.
Yeah, so anyone, anywhere can work with her. You don't have to be in her home state of Colorado in order to work with Cindy. So that is fantastic. Mm-hmm. So this is where I get to move into explaining a little bit about who we are and what we do, and the fact that Cindy is actually our newest, I think, one of the two newest members of the Udefine Wellness Network. And what the Udefine Wellness Network is, if you haven't heard of us, is that we are a network of health and wellness professionals from across the United States, and we are growing. We've been building our company for 3.5 years, and we are starting to branch out across the United States and hopefully in all 50 states by the time I retire. And one of the things that's different about our network is that we actually vet our providers. We do a criminal background investigation. We're looking at any licenses that they may hold and any disciplinary actions or stipulations against them. We're looking at are they a legal business? And most importantly to me is what's their reputation? And while it's not the end-all be-all for your own due diligence when you're looking to work with a provider, you can rest assured when you find someone on our provider network that we have looked at them and start your own decision as to whether or not it's someone for you to work with. But with a provider network, we can do things like create an employee benefit program. So if you are an employer and looking for a new benefit for your employees, contact us. We are a great way for your employees to access people like Cindy, as well as 130 other modalities that are out there.
Yeah.
We have an education catalog. So our providers have created and conduct programs that they have created, and these are listed in our education catalog. And we have some programs that can be done worldwide. And so if you're looking for someone to come in and speak during a lunch and learn or a community group or a school group, any group, look at our education catalog. It's free to download and take a look at some of the topics. They're amazing. And then also for individuals, because individuals wanted to play along too. So individuals, retirees, self-employed, those who do not have our employee benefit program in place, we actually have what's called a Healthy Living Savings Card that's debuting during this Defining Wellness Confab. It is a card that you present to any provider in our network who accepts the Healthy Living Savings Card, and they will have a discount for you. And you can go as many times as you want. You could share it with everyone in your family. You could share it with your next door neighbor if you wanted to. Whoever presents it receives a discount, and it's a one-time fee, and it's at half price right now through August 1st for only $49.50. And you can just go to our website and check it out. And the last thing is we're also bringing awareness to something that we're creating. We're spinning this off as a nonprofit. It is the Holistic Healing Workplace Crisis Support Team, because when crisis hits the workplace, they say to bring in the counselors and the psychotherapists, but it's not enough. We can bring in an entire team of acupuncturists, chiropractors, massage therapists, energy healers, counselors, and psychotherapists. People like Cindy is part of that group as well. Whatever it is that is needed in that workplace environment, because here's the thing. When emotional trauma hits, when physical trauma hits, if left untreated, it is going to settle into the body, and it is going to crop up days, weeks, months, and years later. And so we can bring in these specialists who can educate the employees about other options that they can do and even give them a sample session. And if you're interested in helping us get this set up, we encourage and invite any donations to help support the creation of the Workplace Crisis Support Team. And we're hoping to have these all across the nation by making a donation of your choice to paypal.me/udefinewellness. And the most important thing here is how in the world do you contact Cindy? Well, here is her website. We encourage you to go over there. You know, there's a page or an area that says contact us. And so reach out to Cindy and see whether or not what she does can be of help to you.
Yes.
So, Cindy, thank you so much for being on this. I
you.
appreciate you so much, and you have helped me personally so much, but it's such a joy to have you as part of our network. So I thank you for doing this today.
Oh, thank you.
For those joining live, I said at the very beginning I was going to give you an opportunity to ask any questions, and I didn't tell you to put them in the chat box. If either of you have a question that you would like to ask, feel free to unmute yourself while I'm saying this next part, and then I will call on you after I finish my part. For those who are watching this on wherever you found this recording, thank you for watching it. And we invite you, as I said at the beginning, to go to our YouTube channel and search for You Define Wellness in the search bar there. We have an entire library going on of health and wellness topics, introducing you to people I know that are experts in the field, and many of them, like Cindy, can work with anyone, anywhere in the world. So we invite you to go over there, and while you're there, follow us so that you can get notifications when we add new programs like this one with Cindy. So I don't see any additional questions in the chat box, or we have somebody who looks like has a question. Linda, did you have a question?
I don't have a question because I've worked with Cindy several times, and what she's so great about is, and I have to admit that this was a little odd for me. It was just out of my comfort zone, and I don't know what nicer word or better word to use, but
That's perfect.
so odd is the only one I could come up with. But anyways, with that being said, she educated me every time she goes through the process. So it was great to hear it again, but that was very, very helpful for me. And for someone that I know, even though I've taken great care of, myself, I go into counseling throughout the last 51 years. I have just felt so much lighter and freer from these sessions with her. So it's been a great impact in my life. But and I don't think it's so weird anymore, by the way, because I love the effects of it and I feel great. And I've suffered from depression and anxiety for many years. And I'm not suffering from that. So I'm very grateful. So thank you for inviting me to this.
Thank you for coming.
We're delighted you're here.
Yes.
Awesome. And that was a wonderful testimonial. Thank you for sharing that. That is fantastic. Any other questions that we have? Going once? Going twice? Okay. Again, thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope to see you on another episode within the Defining Wellness Confab.